The envelope arrived on a Tuesday evening, slipped halfway under the front door like it already knew it belonged there. Emma almost stepped on it while carrying groceries inside. What stopped her was the weight. When she picked it up, it felt heavier than paper should feel, solid in a way that made her pause. Inside was a single golden key. Not shiny in a cheap way, but warm, brushed, old-fashioned. It looked like it had a history, like it had opened something important before. Daniel came in from the garage a moment later, loosening his tie, already talking about traffic. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw Emma standing still in the kitchen, staring at her hands. "What's wrong?" he asked. She held up the key. They stood there for a few seconds, both quiet, both feeling the same strange pull without saying it out loud. The card was simple. No logo, no name. For couples brave enough to rediscover who they are together. An address followed. A date, 2 weeks away. Emma laughed once, softly, but there was no humor in it. "This is weird." Daniel nodded. "Yeah, but neither of them threw it away. They had been married 11 years. Lived outside Boston. Good jobs, no scandals. No shouting matches. Just a slow, quiet drifting that neither of them knew how to stop. Love was still there, but it felt buried under routine, like a song played too many times until you forget why you liked it. That night, the key sat between them on the coffee table while the TV played something neither of them watched. "Do you think it's a scam?" Emma asked. "Maybe," Daniel said. Then, after a pause, "But it doesn't feel like one." That was the problem. It didn't feel dangerous. It felt honest. Over the next 2 weeks, they didn't talk about it much. But Emma noticed Daniel glancing at the key in the mornings. Daniel noticed Emma touching it absent-mindedly while making coffee. It had become a quiet presence in the house, asking a question without speaking. The day before the date, Emma finally said it. "If we don't go, I think we'll always wonder." Daniel looked at her for a long moment. He saw the woman he had fallen in love with and the distance that had grown between them without permission. "Let's go," he said. They drove north on a Friday afternoon, leaving traffic and noise behind. The city faded into trees, then hills, then quiet. Emma watched the road pass and felt nervous in a way she hadn't felt in years. Not fear, something closer to hope. The house by the lake was large but calm, lights glowing softly as dusk settled. Cars were parked neatly along the drive. Couples stepped out slowly, some holding hands, others walking side by side in thoughtful silence. No one looked reckless. No one looked young and careless. These were people who had lived, loved, and felt the weight of time. Inside, the air smelled faintly of wood and candles. Soft music played, not loud enough to demand attention. A woman with silver hair and steady eyes welcomed them. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I'm Margaret." Her voice was calm, grounding. "Tonight is not about excitement," she continued. "It's about truth." Emma felt Daniel's hand find hers. They were invited to mingle, to sit, to breathe. There were no rules posted on walls. No instructions handed out. Just space. Space to be seen. Emma noticed a couple near the fireplace, quietly laughing together. Another sat apart, serious, their knees almost touching, but not quite. The room felt full of stories no one else knew. After some time, Margaret gathered everyone gently. "In the center of this room," she said, "is a box. It opens with a golden key. Every couple here has received one. Using it is a choice." Emma's heart beat faster. "The key doesn't open a door," Margaret continued. "It opens a conversation. You may leave at any time. There is no shame in that. But if you stay as partners." No one moved. Emma looked at Daniel. He looked back, searching her face. She saw fear there, yes, but also something she hadn't seen in a long time: curiosity. They stepped forward together. Daniel placed the key into the lock. The click was soft, but it echoed in Emma's chest. As the box opened, she felt a strange certainty that this night mattered. Inside were folded letters. Margaret smiled. "Choose one." Emma reached in. Her fingers brushed paper. She pulled one out and held it tightly, waiting. Before opening it, she took a breath and glanced at Daniel. Whatever was written there, they would face it together. Outside, the lake was perfectly still, reflecting the moon like a promise. And as Emma unfolded the letter, she knew this was not the beginning of something reckless. It was the beginning of something honest. The room grew quieter as each couple opened their letters. The air was heavy but gentle, full of anticipation, like everyone was holding their breath together. Emma unfolded hers carefully, feeling the paper between her fingers as if it contained a secret about herself she had forgotten. Daniel leaned closer, his eyes searching hers for a hint of what she was thinking. The letter's words were simple but powerful. Tell your partner what you are afraid to lose and what you are afraid to want. Emma's chest tightened. She hadn't realized how much she needed this moment, how much she had wanted to say what she'd kept inside for years. The golden key in her pocket seemed to hum softly, a reminder that this night wasn't about games or danger, it was about truth. They moved to a corner by the window overlooking the lake. Outside, the water reflected the moon, calm and steady. It felt like the world had shrunk to just the two of them, and for the first time in a long while. They weren't distracted by bills, work, or small irritations. There was just honesty waiting to be spoken. Daniel spoke first, his voice low, almost a whisper, but firm enough that Emma could hear every word. I'm afraid, he said, that we've lost ourselves along the way, that we've become roommates instead of partners. I'm afraid to want more because I don't know if you still want me the same way. Emma felt her throat tighten. She had known the truth of that fear herself, but had never said it aloud. I'm afraid, she replied, that I stopped asking for what I needed. I started blaming you instead. And I'm afraid to want closeness again because losing it before hurt too much. They sat in silence for a moment, letting the words settle between them. Outside, the wind moved lightly across the lake, carrying with it the quiet sense of possibility. It wasn't dramatic or sudden. There were no fireworks or revelations that would change everything instantly. It was the small, quiet honesty that mattered, the kind that rebuilt trust and warmth. Around them, other couples were also speaking softly. Some held hands, some touched cheeks lightly, others leaned into each other's shoulders. There was no rush, no judgment. Laughter and quiet tears mixed together, creating an atmosphere that was tender, safe, and surprisingly freeing. Each couple seemed to understand that tonight wasn't about excitement. It was about reconnecting, seeing their partners in ways they had forgotten, and acknowledging emotions they had hidden under everyday life. Emma noticed a couple across the room, an older pair with silver hair. The man held the letter between them while the woman's hand rested lightly on his arm. They smiled with the kind of warmth that comes from decades together. The kind of smile that made Emma realize this night wasn't about testing love, it was about remembering it. She turned back to Daniel and found him watching her, eyes full of understanding and quiet hope. She felt the weight of years of distance, frustration, and routine lift slightly. It wasn't gone, not yet, but it had space to move, to breathe, and to change. Daniel reached out and took her hand. It was familiar and new at the same time, like rediscovering a part of her he had always loved but had stopped noticing. I want us to be more than roommates, he said. I want us to be the people we were when we couldn't wait to see each other, when a simple smile could light the whole room. Emma smiled back, tears brimming but unashamed. I want that too. I've missed it. I think I forgot it was possible to feel it again. The words weren't perfect. They weren't rehearsed. They didn't have to be. What mattered was the honesty. Each sentence, each pause, each small breath created a new rhythm between them. A rhythm that felt intimate without being overwhelming. The room, the music, the soft candlelight, all of it faded into the background. They were no longer distracted by everyday life. They were present, truly present with each other. Margaret moved quietly around the room, a soft observer rather than an instructor. She didn't interrupt or push anyone. Her presence reminded everyone that the golden key wasn't a tool of manipulation or control, it was a symbol. A gentle reminder that every relationship has doors waiting to be opened. Some doors are small, almost invisible, like a shared laugh or a whispered confession. Others are bigger, requiring courage to step through. And that courage was exactly what this night was designed to bring forth. Emma and Daniel stayed by the window longer than most. They shared fears about the future, longings they had never expressed, and small regrets that had piled up quietly over the years. Each admission, each gentle confession drew them closer in ways that ordinary nights never could. The golden key in their pocket felt heavier now, not because of metal, but because of meaning. It symbolized choice, trust, and the courage to be vulnerable together. Eventually, the letters were folded, read, and reflected upon. The couples gathered once more in the center of the room, the air now lighter, filled with a calm satisfaction and quiet smiles. Margaret spoke again, her voice carrying warmth without command. The key doesn't stay here. It goes home with you. What you choose to do with it, what you choose to open, is yours. Emma glanced at Daniel. He nodded, a simple acknowledgement that they would take this experience with them. It wasn't a magic solution. It wasn't a sudden fix for years of quiet frustration and distance. But it was a beginning, a reminder that love can be renewed when given attention, honesty, and care. On the drive back to Boston, the silence between them was different. It wasn't awkward. It was filled with reflection, hope, and subtle, renewed connection. The moonlight on the road mirrored the calm they felt inside. For the first time in years, they weren't distracted by the small pressures of life. Instead, they were aware of each other, present and curious again. Days turned into weeks, but the effect of the night lingered. Their conversations grew longer, their gestures warmer. They laughed more freely, held hands without thinking, and found joy in ordinary moments that had once felt dull. They had rediscovered the excitement of attention, care, and shared secrets, the simple acts of noticing and being noticed. The golden key now rested in a drawer beside their bed, a constant reminder of that night, a symbol of choice and honesty. They didn't know if they would ever attend another secret couples night, but it didn't matter. They had found a door, opened it together, and realized that what truly mattered wasn't the event itself, was what they chose to bring back into their marriage. Emma leaned against Daniel one evening, watching him quietly read. She felt the warmth of connection, the peace of being understood, and the gentle thrill of rediscovery. No fireworks, no dramatics, just love, quiet and steady, like the lake they had left behind. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. And sometimes accepting the key isn't about what happens outside. It's about what you finally allow back in the quiet spaces of your heart. That night, as they went to sleep, Emma reached over and held Daniel's hand. He squeezed hers back. They didn't need to speak. They had spoken enough. The golden key had done its work, not by magic, but by giving them the courage to be honest, to hope, and to begin again. And in that gentle silence, they realized love is always waiting for those willing to open the door together.